Yes then YouTube, the 4-3-2-1, my favourite 4-back formation on the game. So without any further ado, let's get straight into the custom tactics. For your cheapest and most reliable place to buy your FC24 coins, please do check out mmoexp.com. Link is down in the description below. Use the code WOLF at the checkout for 5% off your order. So you are going to want to use balanced on the defensive style. But one thing I will say, like I've been saying in quite a few of my videos recently, pressure on heavy touch is good. And it is good. Definitely a viable option. 100% a viable option. I just much prefer balanced. I just kind of like to be in control of where and when my team presses the ball. I think sometimes with pressure on heavy touch, it can be a little bit random. And if you're not expecting your team to press loads, all of a sudden you can be caught out defensively. So it's something why I kind of like to stay away from it. That's why I prefer balanced. The defensive width has now changed, YouTube. Yes, it has now changed in all of my formations that I will be doing new videos on. At this moment in time, I now just leave it on 50. Now, you will know normally that I like to play a little bit more of a narrow defensive style. I kind of just like to be a little bit more narrow, more compact, making it harder for us to break down. But something I've noticed is that my opponents are constantly just switching the play. So I've upped my defensive width just to the preset 50. And I've noticed my opponent can't switch the play as easily that they used to do when I was defending more narrow. And I feel like because defending, I'm getting used to defending a little bit more now. I can afford to be a little bit more open with my defense a little bit. When I say open, I just mean like have a little bit more gaps to try and cover that switch of play rather than them going through the middle, or rather than making the middle more compact, sorry. I actually prefer my team now to be a little bit more wider to cover the switches of play. So that's why I'm leaving it on 50. The defensive depth, though, remember, you do have two options. So option 1 is the option that I'm using right now. I absolutely love it. And that, of course, is the 71 depth. If you are on old gen, though, ignore what I'm about to say and you should use 55 depth because it doesn't work on old gen. But at this moment in time, when you use 71 depth, your team does the automatic offside trap. It does the automatic press for you. And it's super, super, super OP. And the fact that it doesn't drain your stamina like it does when you're on press after possession loss or pressure on heavy touch, it's a really, really, really viable option. So it's why I'm using 71 depth. If you're not interested in that, because some of you will not be interested in that, some of you won't like the fact that it's a little bit more up the pitch and kind of in your opponent's face. Like with the old gen, use 55 depth. They're the two that I've mainly used all year. 55 depth to 60 depth when I didn't realise 71 depth was a thing. And then when 71 depth kept becoming more noticeable, that's when I then changed. So 55 or 60 depth for you if you don't like the 71 depth. But I'm really liking the 71 depth. I absolutely love it. The offense, of course, yes, you guessed it. It is going to be balanced diet passing. Your absolute bread and butter. I'm not even going to go into any detail with it. I just love it. I can't use anything else really because, well, I can, but it just doesn't feel the same. It doesn't hit the same. It doesn't feel as OP as the balance and direct passing. The offensive width, though, I do make it a little bit more narrow, so I do go down to 40. I've now changed my offensive width to 40. Basically, I like it when my left forward and my right forward are very close to my striker, giving me more passing options. I like when my midfield 3 are a lot more narrow and more compact as well. I just kind of think that we have more passing lanes on, rather than the flip side with the defensive where I'm actually enjoying it being a little bit more wider now. I actually enjoy the more narrow play because even if I then want to byline abuse, which I still do, I can kind of just do that manually, so I can just run down the byline with my left forward or my left back or something like that. But I just like having it a little bit more narrow, giving us more offensive options for the passing. Players in the box, of course, is going to be 7. The way I look at that, YouTube, is very, very, very simple. The more players that we have in the box, the more likely we are to score a goal. It's actually very simple, and it's something that my spreadsheet and my data do back up. Corners and free kicks down from 3 and 3 to 2 and 2 to stop us getting counter-attacked on when we do have our own corner and our own free kicks. So, they're the custom tactics. This is how I set my team up. Excuse me, on my RTG in the 4-3-2-1. Kolo Muani is actually the right centre mid. I think it's a little bit important, YouTube, and I don't know whether you agree, to kind of have a little bit of an attacker in that right centre mid role. It's something that I've always done in the 4-3-2-1 and I absolutely love it. So having more attackers in the midfield 3 is something that I feel is needed, and then having like kind of like an out and out CDM, so I'm a Jude Bellingham in that central midfield position, I really like that. So player instruction, these haven't really changed too much in the 4-3-2-1. So your absolute bread and butter, stay central and get in behind on my striker and my right forward, because remember, excuse me, sorry Chag, sorry YouTube, I got something stuck in my throat. Remember, when we don't have the ball, we defend in a 4-4-2 because of something that I do to the left forward. And then having both the right forward and the striker on stay central and getting behind means that they are the two strikers when we don't have the ball. Of course, when we get the ball, my players will push straight back up into the 4-3-2-1 anyway. It's what's made the 4-3-2-1 very OP now for quite a while, is the fact that you can defend in a different formation and then attack in the 4-3-2-1, which is so good going forward. So having the striker and the right forward helps perfectly. The getting behind, even if you don't play the ball into the striker and the right forward as they're making the runs in behind, it's good because it does then create that space in the middle of the pitch anyway. So it's something I feel like you need to have on. That brings us nicely onto the left forward. Now remember, my left forward will tuck back into the left midfield of a 4-4-2 because the only playing instructions that I have on him is come back on defence. Now, don't worry. You might think that's a defensive move, and it is because it does make us more defensively solid. But as soon as we get the ball, because we have direct passing on, my Diaby will push straight up from that left midfield right up into that left forward position of a 4-3-2-1. So, even though you might feel it being like, oh, that seems a little bit defensive, you know, I don't really like that, do not worry about it because as soon as we get the ball, bam, he's up there in the 4-3-2-1 in that left forward position. The left central midfielder, this is the player that I kind of use the most in terms of out the midfield three. Now, I have this player on get into the box for cross and cover centre. Now, the reason being, I use this player kind of like as a number 10, basically. So the player will get into the box, so my Musiala will get into the box for cross because that's what I have him on. But he won't be right up next to my striker. He will kind of be floating around in that number 10 position. So it kind of goes into a little bit of a hybrid 4-2-3-1 when we're attacking, in terms of you've got the left forward, the right forward and the striker, and then my Musiala just floats around in that number 10 position. Very, very, very OP, and it's something that I feel is an absolute no-brainer for you guys. Honestly, it's so, so, so good. My Musiala, so my left centre mid, he gets a lot of goals and a lot of assists. So have the more attack-minded player, or just someone that you feel could create and score opportunities, have that player playing on the left centre mid. The middle centre mid, remember, I use this as the CDM. So stay back while attacking and cover centre. I'm not going to go into too much detail on this player because he is literally just the CDM. He doesn't go forward really, my Jude Bellingham. He doesn't move to the right. He doesn't move to the left. He kind of just sits there in that Rodri role, that Boubacar Kamara role up the Villa. He kind of just sits there, keeps the team ticking over, gives the ball left and right, and gives the ball to the players that are better off in the attacking third. I absolutely love it. The right centre mid, remember, he will be defending as a right mid of a 4-4-2. So that's why I feel like it is important for that player to be an attacker. So right midfield of a 4-4-2. He is on completely default settings, including cover wing. So I do not touch a single thing on him. But then he'll play right midfield of a 4-4-2 when we don't have the ball. But then when we get the ball, he'll tuck nicely into that right centre midfield of a 4-3-2-1. My right back is then the player that is on stay back while attacking. So I don't attack with my right back at all. And then my left back is the player that is on join the attack and overlap. Very, very, very important that you have that one of the fullbacks on join the attack and overlap, in my opinion. He will make a lot of overlapping runs on that left-hand side very nicely. And then last but not least, my goalkeeper is on comes for crosses and sweeper keeper. And that right there is my updated 4-3-2-1 custom tactics video for you guys on my RTG. If you did enjoy this video, please drop it a like for me. Ignore the trim. My barber absolutely killed me. I said to him just a skin fade, nothing off the top. He then proceeded to cut off about 80% of my hair. So we've gone really short for a military buzz cut pretty much. That's what we've done. Thank you for watching. Spread the love and positivity. PMA, positive male attitude. Peace out. One love.